The federal government is to announce up to $90 million in support for Algoma Steel today in a commitment aimed at helping the producer deal with the American tariffs on steel and aluminum. Economic Development Minister Navdeep Bains will make the announcement at the plant, and he'll be joined by Ontario Northern Development Minister Greg Rickford, who's expected to announce a separate provincial investment in the company. Canada has rejected the premise of the American duties that its metals exports pose a national security threat to the U.S. and has been fighting for the removal of the tariffs. Ottawa has implemented tariffs of its own on a long list of U.S. imports, hoping to force Washington to back down. The U.S. tariffs, however, remain in place. In making the Algoma funding announcement today, the federal government is expected to say the commitment will remain and create 3,050 Algoma jobs in the Soo, although it's unclear how many new positions will be added. The investment will include up to $60 million from the Federal Economic Development Agency for Southern Ontario and $30 million from a federal program known as the Strategic Innovation Fund. The government funding is to help support Algoma in its effort to bring in new technologies, improve productivity, and stay competitive on international markets. We will, of course, be at the plant later on today, and we'll get you more details. Ryan Roth scored twice as the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds doubled the Sarnia Sting 4-2 yesterday in Ontario Hockey League play. Also, Soo Greyhounds General Manager Kyle Raftis announced yesterday another commitment to the program. Jaromir Pitlick will be joining the club for the remainder of the 2018-19 season. President Donald Trump's visit to the U.S.-Mexico border in South Texas comes as his administration fights many of the region's landowners, religious leaders, and environmentalists over the few miles of barrier it's already trying to build.
The border wall battle is getting noisier and nastier as property owners in South Texas face off against a federal government intent on seizing their land. Land needed for a portion of wall construction that was approved by Congress months ago. The $1.4 billion project has raised the ire of the Catholic Church and its neighbors along the Rio Grande River and could signal what lies ahead if the president's plans for more wall building go through. The La Lomita Chapel, the namesake for the city of Mission, Texas, happens to be in the middle of the already approved path. Building could begin as early as February if lawsuits don't stop it first.
But it'd probably go either on top of the levee or right down at the base of the levee.
Father Roy Snipes, often donning a cowboy hat with his crucifix, is a Catholic priest in the Oblate Order, which has ministered in the valley since the 1840s.
We're here at the old La Lomita Chapel, which is the kind of the mother church of our whole area.
The Catholic diocese does not want to sell this land or give it up, so it's suing the government, saying this violates Catholic teachings, the church's responsibility to protect migrants, as well as its First Amendment right of religious freedom.
This serenity and simplicity of the place would be ruined.
Much of the approved construction project will look like what you see behind me: asphalt, concrete, and massive steel ballards for a fence line. Though many in the valley say the price of this physical and visual immigration deterrent isn't worth the cost of heritage if the federal government takes private property by eminent domain.
Uncle Sam is going to impact that dramatically by eliminating all of these trees full of nests, eggs, baby birds, piling them up somewhere and burning them.
At the National Butterfly Center, the concern is what a wall and law enforcement zones will do to migratory birds and butterflies.
You eliminate the plant that is the reproductive basis for the butterfly, and you eliminate the butterfly.
The center is a nature preserve and tourist magnet, and it's also suing to prevent the government from building here. Director Mariana Trevino Wright says the end result will be a concrete federal footprint on wildlife. Nearby, the federal government has already surveyed what it would take from the Cavazos family's 64 acres.
The wall itself?
Yeah.
It's not going to stop anything.
Many families like them have multiple heirs to their properties, so the total impact of land seizures is yet unknown. Construction may cut off access they have to the water they grew up fishing on. From the same river Father Roy uses to boat to work.
for God's sake, leave our chapel alone. You don't have to build a wall along this beautiful river. If you're the smartest and richest and most powerful people in the world, can't you think of something better than that?
The oblate missionary also rents land from the Cavazos family, so his own house and the community's house of worship could be behind a barrier too. John Mount, Associated Press, Mission, Texas.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau touted the benefits of a liquefied natural gas project that's at the center of an impasse with First Nations in a speech to supporters in Kamloops, BC yesterday. RCMP arrested 14 people, you'll recall, on Monday in northwestern BC over a protest against construction of a natural gas pipeline by Coastal GasLink. It's a key part of the $40 billion LNG Canada project. In a campaign-style speech at the Liberal fundraiser, Trudeau did not address the arrests, but heralded the massive project as one of his government's key achievements over the past year. Anti-pipeline protesters chanted opposite pipeline supporters in yellow vests outside that Liberal fundraiser in Kamloops yesterday. Justin Trudeau spoke. Both groups voiced criticisms of the Prime Minister.
You look at what's happening just off the top of my head, the plant closure in Oshawa, and there's a huge uproar over that, and rightfully so, but people need to realize that if the oil and gas industry goes bye-bye, that's going to be the first of many auto plants to shut down. They need to realize that oil and gas is part of our lifestyle. We're not going to get rid of it.
I'm here to stand in solidarity with the Wet'suwet'en people. They were forcibly removed from their land because of pipelines, and we are welcome with the traditional people of this land, and the same thing is happening to us. We're being forcibly removed from our land, which is destroying our culture, our language, our family, everything. We depend on the land for our survival, and we have to protect it with everything we've got.